everybody? Welcome back to the Hero Club podcast for episode 3. We're excited to get started. Today, we have special guest Max Martin. Max works with Basepath. Basepath is an operations platform that works with athletes, agencies, and collectives to help them run their operations through anything NIL. So, Max, if you just want to give yourself a little bit more of an introduction and just kind of what you do with Basepath.
For sure. And Micah, Brett, thanks so much for having me on. We've been working with Hometown Heroes, and it's been an absolute pleasure to see your guys' growth and the care that you take for your athletes. So really appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I'm Max. I'm located in Minnesota, and I'm a business development manager for Basepath. So to expand on what Micah was just saying, Basepath is an operational software for collectives, companies, agencies, and universities. And we support a lot of NIL entities and sports agencies that manage a lot of athletes. So our whole goal is to keep everything compliant and above board and really help with the tedium that comes with NIL endeavors. So helping track social posts, making sure compliance is set up, that deliverables are tracked, et cetera. But yeah, Basepath is supporting many different collectives and agencies across the country, and just really honored to be here and appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to have you here. I see the Notre Dame flag in the background. You're a Notre Dame graduate, right?
Yep. I got my MBA from Notre Dame, and kind of how I got involved with Basepath. I was the Notre Dame graduate assistant coach for the track team. So that love for sports and business came together. I met one of our founders, Thomas, and was just a really natural fit. My love for sports kind of came into play on the business side, and NIL was just launching, so it was a really cool venture to get involved to, and have had a blast doing it. So.
Yeah, man, absolutely. What was kind of the goal, or what was the main driving factor that made you want to get into the sports industry?
Yeah, I think it's probably similar to both of you. Growing up, being involved in sports, I was a collegiate track runner myself, and then involved in Notre Dame, like I just described. It was always just something that interests me naturally. That was what I was researching ESPN, checking Twitter threads of sports news, and being able to be in a cutting edge side of NIL and to support athletes and make sure they're supported and protected in this NIL venture, I think is something that's really cool, hits home to me as a former athlete, and I wanted to do my part in this space.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what about like Basepath? Because I mean, there's a lot of different platforms that are starting to come about with NIL. I mean, we're just so new into the process. And what about Basepath originally made you like super interested in going to work for them, and kind of expand a little more on what you were just touching on?
Totally. Yeah, Brett. And just when I got approached by Thomas, or when I connected with Thomas at Basepath, first thing that stood out to me is meeting the team. It was just a group of excellent people. So working with these guys has been great. We're a really cohesive team and communicate on a daily basis. And I think that stood out, like the personalities of the team stood out right away to me. In addition to just the industry and the sports that we're working with, they found their niche in operations, which I think is really cool. There's a lot of marketplaces and a lot of people connecting brands and athletes, and that's absolutely valuable. These companies are doing a tremendous job with that. We kind of found our bread and butter in the operations side, and making sure that we took care of the tedium from our clients that goes along with NIL, I think is really prevalent for both agencies and collectives. So doing what we can to tighten it up, make it a lot more efficient for the agencies and collectives we work with, was really something that I found valuable. And when I joined it was a pretty natural fit for the groups we're working with. So the product was tremendous. Our engineering team is super agile and does a great job. And we don't claim to be the smartest people in the room. We just listen to what our customers have to say and do our best to fit the needs that they're offering. So that was clear right away that we are customer facing, trying to just help in the industry. And I think it has been great so far. And we're continuing to try to help the collectives and agencies we're working with.
Man, yeah. And I'll tell you, y'all have done just that. It has been such a pleasure for us. And I know Micah and I, especially, but our athletes as well, man. Like the convenience and the just top of the line performance that Basepath has given us through so many different things has just totally changed how, I mean, and we hear from the athletes all the time, like they talk about how Basepath is so nice, makes everything so accessible, easy. It's all laid out. So y'all have killed it, man. And it has been a savior for us because it has made our side of things a lot easier. So
Yes,
kudos
well,
to you guys.
really appreciate you guys saying that, and likewise. And it's easy when we're working with good people. Like I think we can all attest, like having our meetings and connecting on a regular basis. We've created our own relationships and trying to do that with everyone. But you guys have been outstanding, so
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yes,
We
sir.
really appreciate y'all. What's it been like to kind of grow? I mean, Basepath and NIL as a whole is obviously new. What's it been like to grow with that company since you've come on?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, kind of when we launched, we launched in around November of 21. I kind of joined when I was in school around February, and then full time in May. It's been tremendous to see the growth. I know, like in the summer, collectives just started getting announced, and we saw folks like the Gator Collective, Garnet Trust, kind of that original group of collectives that came out. We thought, you know, holy cow, there's a natural fit. This is another group of people that are managing a large amount of athletes. That's going to take a ton of time, a ton of effort, and some software capabilities that could really shore that up. And you know, since launching, we're working with over 20 collectives, Big Ten University and other universities, and kind of handling their end-to-end NIL compliance and operations. And yeah, it's really been tremendous to see the growth, and hope to continue to see more of it over this next year.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
So what made, sorry, go ahead, Micah.
No, you're good. I was gonna ask just kind of like what made y'all decide to make collectives Basepath's main client?
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, our first client was actually a large company, publicly traded company out in Michigan, and they were working with a handful of athletes, about a couple hundred athletes, and it was just a really tedious time for them to manage and track, you know, 200 athletes or so, whether that's payment processing, tracking marketing analytics, having like their social posts embedded into the platform so they didn't have to track social media. And people were working way more hours than they should have been for this group. And we realized, you know, as these original groups of collectives launched, hey, we can save them time just like we're doing with this company and managing their campaign. You know, other folks are running campaigns and collectives. They have a handful of athletes that can have the same problem. So that fit and similar to agencies is very natural. You know, you guys are managing a lot of different athletes. You know, trying to communicate with them, text them on a regular basis, make sure they get their work done. And we're just trying to create a platform that allows that to be as streamlined as possible. So those fits all kind of stem from that first initial use case of having one spot, one group of people that was managing so many different athletes.
So speaking of, like, I know there's a little bit of a difference between what collectives do and what certain agencies do, mainly the representation across the board. We obviously represent athletes all over the country, and collectives try and focus more in their district or area. But is there a big difference on the Basepath side of things of like when goes into how your operations go with collectives versus an agency like ours?
Yeah, I'd say from a similar sense, both kind of act as like the pipes or the CRM for agencies and collectives. And in terms of the differences, Brett, I think you nailed it on the head. Obviously, there's some smaller differences on the day-to-day and how these collectives are working with more localized companies. I think you guys have, you know, folks from all different schools, all different conferences, and these collectives are just adjacent but not affiliated with the university, right? So on the Basepath side, I think we act more as a traditional CRM for agencies, you know, tracking which agents are working with specific athletes, but still having that way to process payments. I know on the agency side, we also help source a couple deals here and there, but that is not our primary focus. Our primary focus is that operational piece. And but it is, you know, collectives almost in a sense can act as agencies have very similar tendencies, where it's just a large number of athletes, the team that's associated with it, and they're finding deals for their athletes as well, just like you guys are. But I think the geographical locations of those deals are more focused on the collective side.
Yeah.
Super cool. What has been kind of your best way to word that? Kind of your biggest takeaway from being able to work with collectives, and kind of seeing how are you able to help them? What's been the biggest help that y'all have been able to provide at Basepath for them?
Yeah, I think the first thing that's really cool is a lot of these collectives are super passionate about, the university that they're adjacent to. And so I think with agents, with collectives, the common denominator between all of it is you're just trying to support your athletes. And we're all looking for the athlete's best interests and to capitalize on name, image, and likeness. So I'd say my biggest takeaway is that these collectives are some of the biggest advocates for their own athletes. I'm from Minnesota. I don't run any collectives or anything like that, but I'm hoping the Gopher athletes are doing well. I hope they're getting the deals that they get just as a fan, just like folks from Alabama, folks from Tennessee, whatever it may be. I think everyone's just looking out for the best interests of their athletes, and it's just they're the engines. You guys are the engines. How we provide these opportunities for them, and it's cutting edge and super cool to be a part of this. I'm sure you guys can attest to.
Yeah, that's super cool. Are there any like fun or exciting deals or some of your favorite companies or anything that you've seen that's kind of not normal? Or I don't know, Mike and I try and come up with some fun
Just like
deals
past that normal social media, here's your Instagram post.
Yeah.
Fun.
Oh man, not a lot of it is social based. I don't want to I don't want to give you guys a boring answer, but a lot of it is social media marketing. Having their name, image, and likeness be out there. I'd say, geez, a cool one for me, just like a cool. There's some cool products that we're working with. I think that I didn't work with this, but you saw like the mini jerseys with Kansas. They just did a Kansas basketball team wide deal. I think that's super cool, innovative way to keep people involved. The all sauce team at Buffalo Wild Wings. These guys. Personally, I don't know a lot of those athletes if they are these studs or star athletes on the court of the field, but that's exactly what NIL's for. They have these sweet last names that align with the sauces that Buffalo Wild Wings has to offer. They're part of the all sauce team. I think that's cool, and is a way for these folks to do well in their college sports, whether they're not they're making tremendous impacts on the field.
Yeah, we talked about in one of our other episodes kind of some of our favorite deals that we've seen that we haven't necessarily worked on, but just in the NIL landscape. So we talked about the Cheez-It Bowl and how everybody got to stay in the Cheez-It room.
Yes, I could you guys even imagine walking into that hotel room and saying this is the spot for the night? It reminds me of like when we're kids and there was those Gusher commercials or fruit roll up, trying to win that one trip where you get the fruit roll up. Whatever it is, what I'm talking about. But
yeah,
my biggest question in that deal was like, who the heck thought of that? Like they had everything under the sun to like slides and robes and like all this crazy stuff. Like the hotel room itself was, let alone just nuts. But I would love to know where
who
that
at
idea
Cheez-It sat down in their meeting room and had to plan out every detail of that.
And
who raised their hand first and said, I got an idea. Like it sounds weird, but we can make a Cheez-It hotel room.
Right, but hey, here we are talking about it, right? They did it how it should be. Yeah, they killed it. They killed it. And I hope other companies do stuff similar to that.
Yeah, no, it's super cool to see. You see a lot of stuff, like you said, with the last names. You saw Buffalo Wild Wings in the sauce. We've seen Kool-Aid McKinstry. He signed with Kool-Aid in the Alabama corner.
Yes.
We saw Dakotas Crawford. He signed.
I was gonna say, Dakotas was an awesome one. So
yeah. Is he staying where he is? He entered the transfer portal, but I don't know if he transferred or not.
I'm not quite sure. I knew he was at Nebraska, but I'm not sure where he's at now.
I think he decided to stay. Was the most recent thing I saw. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
I still think that's the coolest name in college football ever.
I'm really curious to see if down the line we start to see people start to get like named, or parents start to give nicknames when their kids are young that have to do with brands
to benefit them in NIL.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and one thing that I think about growing up, I love the college football and college basketball video games. I think that's when NIL is really going to take off. Whoever gets to capitalize on being a part of a video game that millions are going to play. I mean, how
Oh, yeah.
cool is that? And to see your name on a video game would be life changing. Be super
Well,
cool.
because all the OG ones, they couldn't have their names on it, right? It was just their number.
Right, right. I remember playing like college basketball 10 or something, and the loading screen was with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Love, but their names weren't on it, but they looked just like them.
Right.
So, yeah.
One of the
That's,
only games that I still play to this day is NCAA 14 on my
yes.
Xbox 360.
It's the best one.
Yeah, yeah, the road to glory, man. It's
Oh
great.
yeah, I'll die on the hill that that's the greatest game ever made. So I'll buy whatever new console I have to buy whenever the new one comes out. Anything, whatever I have
Yes.
to do, I will play that game.
I'm so interested to see how that would play out, though, because I think obviously whoever you put on the cover is definitely going to take a large chunk of like funds and all that kind of stuff in the NIL space. But like, is everybody else, do they just like have to sign off and say, hey, yeah, I allow my name to be in there? But like, I mean, somebody random that has their name in there, they're probably not going to make, like, there's no way everybody that has their name in there is going to
It's
make
going to
money
go
off
into
of
group
it.
licensing somehow, but I don't know
Yes.
where exactly the line's going to be drawn as far as the school makes X amount, the players make this. I don't know what that's
Right.
going to look like.
I'm not sure either, but it'll be the largest NIL deal we'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I believe it, man.
There was something back when the game first got announced a year and a half or however long ago that was. They were talking about how each school, depending on like the tier of the school and their average ranking, would make like anywhere from a couple 100,000 to like 25,000 or something like that.
Wow. So cool. Still not insignificant at all. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see.
And just out of curiosity for you guys, like what is Hometown Heroes have planned in the new year? What are you guys kind of thinking as 2023 rolls around for next steps, new athletes? What's on your docket?
Yeah, so we are actually about to launch or launching a campaign right now in February for Black History Month to
Nice.
really try to help promote HBCU athletes, one, and then Black-owned businesses, two. So we want to try to create opportunities for HBCU athletes. We currently have a couple that we already represent. We would love to start working with some more, but
Awesome.
then also using their influence, either at their HBCU, through their hometown, through their social media, whatever that may be, to help start promoting Black-owned businesses.
Awesome.
So that's something we're working on right now. We are looking to start to work with collectives and kind of get into that space a little bit and kind of help providing almost a solution for Title IX, and kind of where that's going to look like, and seeing where we can partner with collectives and getting into that space. So
very cool. Very cool.
But yeah, so that's what we're working on right now. We'll see.
Nice.
We don't have details exactly on a timeline for when that'll launch, but it's in the works.
For sure.
Yeah.
No,
we're hoping this is a big year for us. This is kind of we launched August 1st. So we had that kind of 6-month time frame, and now we're hoping that we're really getting the balls rolling, and 2023 will be a big year for us. So, but a couple of those things that Micah mentioned, we're hoping will be big stepping stones to get, like I said, those gears churning. So
totally.
it'll be a fun year.
Yeah, you had a great first 6 months. Absolutely. So
we appreciate it.
For sure.
We'd love to start working in the movie industry a little bit. We're seeing what that looks like. But
Nice.
Our original thought was think of High School Musical.
Yeah.
But imagine if like all of the extra athletes were just college athletes instead of
actual like hoopers.
Yeah.
Sweet,
imagine how much more enjoyable
right.
You sat down to watch that movie with your girlfriend if you get to watch a good basketball game.
Totally. Yes. Or not some edited dunk when they can't dunk.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yes.
I'm sure you could find a Troy Bolton in college basketball, somebody who can sing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm sure you can find a lot of college athletes that would love to be Troy Bolton.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That's something that we may try to pull out of the hat in 2023. We'll see what happens though.
Awesome.
So
yeah, and where I'm from actually, and where Micah has family in. I don't know if you've heard of it, but in Fayetteville, Georgia, it's called Trillis Studios. It's one of the biggest
I
like
think it's the
movie
biggest movie
industries,
studio.
yeah, in the United States.
Oh, no kidding.
And so kind of a good spot for it if we've got some connections around there and people that live in Trilith and all kind of throughout networking in there. So we're hoping that could be our foot in the door for something like that. So it'd be pretty cool.
Super cool. And sorry, just from my understanding, you guys are saying like take your athletes and try to get them involved in films, movies, shows, that stuff.
Yeah, anything from a commercial to a movie. We've been in contact with one director who he's actually filming a movie on Columbine right now.
Oh, wow.
And what I didn't know about Columbine actually, and it's been cool to learn about, was Columbine's football team is normally not winning the state championship, but the
Yeah.
year of Columbine, it won the state championship. And so he's making a movie right now that kind of goes in and shoots the story from the football team's perspective and the community and the school rallying around them through
Cool.
that season. And so
Cool.
our thought is, hey, you don't need my athlete to be able to act. You just need my athlete to look like a football player. And
Right.
so my football player can definitely look like a football player.
Yes.
So where can we
No,
get him
that-
involved in that? So
It's a great twist on NIL that I haven't heard too much of, right? Like commercials are obviously a hot spot, but that's a really cool idea.
yeah. So that's an area we're trying to get in. On the same note, what's Basepath have coming for the next calendar year?
Yeah, I think, 2023, we're trying to continuously like improve our product. So, hearing from you guys, hearing from the other agencies we're working with, really trying to fit the needs of the collectives, agencies, and universities. So I think one thing we're focusing on a little bit too is campaigns. So really helping streamline campaign management, athlete management, and continuously just building more functionality from feedback that we get from folks. One thing that we're offering for collectives that's been more recent than the straight operation side is we're actually helping now more on the money in and the fundraising and membership. So kind of helping manage and track memberships, setting up, pages on websites to help drive more donations to the collectives and engage the community. So that's been something that we're doing with a handful of the collectives we're working with and are continuously expanding on that product too. And that's been a fun thing to be involved in. And, it's great to help with the operations and also help with the money inside because that's ultimately helping the athletes.
Yeah. Sure. When did Basepath officially launch?
Yeah, I believe it was November of 21. So a couple months before I launched, but we have three founders, Dan, Thomas, and Andrew, and they're great, and we really have a great team. Our engineering is in-house, and we've built everything from scratch. So we're just going to continue to build and optimize what we currently have, and hopefully find new groups to support. But I think agencies are definitely in focus in the new year as well as collectives. So,
Man, that's cool because I mean, I guess that was what 2-3 months right after NIL became legal. So y'all were probably one of the first to get your foot in that door.
Right, exactly. And I think there was folks that are doing a great job on the marketplace side, and that's just something that we were a little late to the party on, but we really are trying to hone in on optimizing and helping folks where we can on the operations, and I think we're a leader in the space on the operations management.
Yeah, no, you absolutely are. It's hard to come in and compete with companies like Open Doors or Influencer because they were around far before NIL was even around. So
yeah, and they're doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Y'all coming in and taking that market share so fast is really impressive.
No, thank you.
And it makes sense. Y'all have killed it. Y'all provide a great product. So
totally.
Well, really cool. I guess that's really all the questions that we had about Basepath. The last question, just to kind of get to pick your brain a little bit. Who's your Super Bowl pick? We got Super Bowl Sunday coming up. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I love it. I gotta say, I'm a huge Vikings fan. I thought this was going to be our year. It was a great regular season. some people didn't, non-Vikings fans thought we were a little fraudulent with our record, but I was believing in the team. I thought it was going to be our year. My bet's going on the Chiefs. I think it's hard to go against Mahomes. I think they just got a huge win with some injured guys. I think the Chiefs are going to take it over Philly. How about you guys?
I'm gonna go against you on that one. I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
Nice, man.
Big Jalen Hurts guy, obviously down here at Alabama. We'll say that we can't claim him. He did graduate from here, so I'm gonna use that as my defense when I claim him.
Yeah.
But
where'd he get
I
drafted?
think he's gonna kill it. He got drafted from Oklahoma. Look, I know he transferred. All right. But I think that the team the Eagles have put together, the offseason pickups they made, the improvements to their defense and their offensive line, and I mean, just watching them so far through the playoffs, they look unbeatable to me so far.
Jalen Hurts is a stud. They look great. I can't bet against Mahomes is my only thing.
That's true.
So, yeah,
it's gonna be interesting, man. I really, honestly, on who I think is gonna win and who I want to win usually differs. I'm dead in the middle of who I want to win. On teams like this that I honestly have no allegiance to, I kind of go for who has the most Georgia players, ex-Georgia players, which I think it's 2-2. I know Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean are on the Eagles, and then McCole Hardman and there's one more on the Chiefs.
No idea.
I don't know either, man.
Oh, that's gonna hurt. Oh man, I'm gonna get heat for that one later. But anyway, there's another Georgia player on the Chiefs. But I don't know, man. I really want to lean towards the Eagles. I think their defense is better than the Chiefs' defense. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a shootout. But I am also on your side, Max. I'm a firm believer in the duo of Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey. Yeah. And I think it is one of the most unbeatable duos in the NFL.
Right.
And dude, I think it's gonna be so close. I think overall, if I had to make a bet, I think I'm picking the Eagles. But I think it's gonna be a really close game.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. It's always one of the best weekends of the year. And I, not to argue it, but Chiefs are getting 3 wide receivers back, so that passing attack is going to be rocking.
That's true.
That's a big factor. I mean,
it is. But are those receivers to the level of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith? Is then the question.
No, right.
Mahomes is better than Hurts. I'll give you that one. But
Hurts has been balling.
Hurts is also really good.
Yeah.
So, and is Mahomes' ankle okay by this point? So,
man, if it's the Super Bowl, if it is the Super Bowl, everyone toughs it through. He's not even gonna be feeling his leg. All the adrenaline running through his body.
He was limping around last week. You couldn't even tell. So
between the adrenaline and whatever pain meds or recovery that they've got him on, they probably got horse tranquilizers in his leg. So I'm sure that he will be floating, running around that field. He'll be fine.
They said something last week before the broadcast that they didn't give him any shots. I was like, I don't know if I believe that because this man has a high ankle sprain less than a week ago. But
yeah,
he had to have something.
I just can't imagine getting tackled by these huge dudes with a bad ankle. I mean, I'd be screaming.
Yeah, you got Jordan Davis. I don't know if y'all remember, but Jordan Davis's combine, Burr ran like a 4.5. What was it?
Something ridiculous.
Gosh.
We might need to in the podcast. We'll stitch a picture on here. I met Jordan Davis on my birthday one year, and emphasis without. He was in slides and sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and I felt like the smallest person on the planet. So I can only imagine what a person like that is in full pads and pants and helmets. But it is, and like Micah said, man, I think the scariest part for me is when I see someone of that size, I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm fast. I can run. I'll run from
totally. No chance.
No.
Yeah, these guys on the line are running 4.5s. It's like, man, I thought, my 5.4 speed was fast.
And it's not even like their top end speed is fast too, but they are so quick off the line. Like they are quicker than you easily, which is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah,
That's so scary.
Yeah, when I played in high school, I got the privilege to play with a whole bunch of guys that went to play now in college. But I mean, I would snap the ball when I was the center, and I mean, before I could even move, as I snapped the ball, they would be like on top of me. And I was just like, "This is why you're going to play in college, and I'm going to be a student."
Yes.
So,
That's great.
well, really cool.
There's lots of lots of bets going on for the Super Bowl though. Do y'all keep track of like you bet on like heads or tails or the color of the Gatorade or the national anthem length or all that kind of stuff?
What's the line for the national anthem this year? You have any idea?
I have no idea. I don't do any sports betting, but I just like to.
I think it was like 48 seconds last year. No.
Yeah, it's so creative. The color of the Gatorade is super creative to me too. And
that one's fun.
National crazy. National anthem's crazy.
Yeah. Well, now it's to the point
who thought of that? Like, let's bet on how long this person is going to sing the national. Do you know who's singing the national anthem?
Not a clue.
No, I feel bad. Usually I'm up on this. Is Rihanna the halftime show?
She's halftime. I don't know who the. Let me look this up.
I don't know. Well, now you can bet on like the halftime show and how like what's the first song going to be, what special guests are going to appear. You can bet on anything that happens. Any second of this game, there is some kind of live bet on it.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, no sports betting here. It's not legal in Minnesota, but yeah, it's interesting to see the lines and all the weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Chris Stapleton will be performing the national anthem. I would so take the under. He is not carrying that thing out.
Nah, country singer, he's carrying every note. What are you talking about?
No shot, dude. If it's like some like if Rihanna was singing the national anthem, I would so take the over. But Chris Stapleton, I would take the under.
Dude, I mean Tennessee whiskey, he's carrying those notes on for a while. I'm taking the over if my life's on the line. Yeah.
We'll have to keep track of this. We'll come back on the next podcast and see what the bets are. Micah, what do you got?
I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over.
All right, I like this. I'm the only one taking the under. Let's go.
You're the lone dog.
Love it.
Well, real cool. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, Max. We really appreciate you coming on today, and kind of telling us more about Basepath and kind of your insight on where you think Basepath is going and how you all have been able to help athletes and help out collectives.
Likewise, and thanks so much for being such great partners and for inviting me on the podcast, guys. Really appreciate working with you and looking forward to a great 2023.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. For all our listeners, like we mentioned earlier, we recently launched our February campaign to help out HBCU athletes and Black-owned businesses, and we really want to promote that through the next month. Our next podcast will actually have one of our athletes, Maya Simmons, who plays at Alabama A&M and HBCU here in Huntsville, Alabama. And so we're excited to get her on and hear her input on what it's like playing at an HBCU and some of the opportunities that NIL has provided her. So with that said, we look forward to seeing everybody in the next 2 weeks. So see y'all later.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Max.
Yeah. See you guys.